Hey everybody, how is it going? This is Kirsten here. Thank you so much for joining me for this new episode of the Balanced Vibes podcast. Today we're going to talk about phasing your nutrition. So, how do you know when to do a cut? When is a good time to build? And what should you do at maintenance? And how does the maintenance look like? And a lot of it is going to be based on what's going on in your life. Because let me tell you, it's not always the best time to do a cut. You just sometimes can't do it. Let's say you're too stressed out. And this is what we're gonna kind of cover today. How to know what to do, when to do it, and what do these phases look like. And I got this idea to do this podcast when we were gone for 6 days last week. We went on a little road trip to California. So I live in Arizona, and we went to California. It was mostly for fun. And I just realized that my way of eating, movement are way different now that I'm in maintenance. I don't have any big goals right now going on than they were when I was actively trying to lose fat and body weight, and I did. So then things looked a lot different for me. And I want everybody to understand that actually this maintenance phase is a really, really important one, although it doesn't get much credit because I think everybody's always thinking about how to lose more fat and how to lose more weight and kind of underestimating the importance of maintenance. But let's be honest here, maintenance is where we want to spend most of our lives. So that means that it's almost the most important one. So we want to know how to do it right. And let me tell you that there's a lot more flexibility and freedom in this maintenance phase than a lot of people may realize. Okay, so let's then talk about when is it a good time to start fat loss. And I would say that for most women, it's not right now. So if you just got the idea or you've been frustrated for a while, like, oh, I really want to get into fat loss because none of these diets that I'm doing is working, then you probably have heard me say this before too, but you're probably not ready for fat loss if you've already done a lot of diets before. And what I encourage you to do instead is to take that stress off yourself. So you have been trying to lose fat for how long, right? For sometimes for decades. And now to jump on the next deficit is not going to give you the result that you want to get. You are hormonally more tired. Your body is just weaker. You may have some health issues going on, and you're just not in an optimal place to do fat loss. Because remember, fat loss is stressful in the body. So what I prefer to do always with most of my clients is to help them to build up first. And this build up phase that I've talked about a lot on this podcast, as well as my Fit and Fuel Facebook group, is important because that gives you the freedom and that gives you the hormonal health back and that metabolic balance back that you haven't had in a very long time. And so now when you're feeling a little depleted, feeling tired physically and mentally too from like dieting too much, then this is the best time to do that build up phase. You're going to take a lot of stress off of yourself. And just today, I talked to somebody who did my 3-week challenge that I hosted in my Fit and Fuel Facebook group. And before this challenge, she had always tried to be in a cut for a very long time. And she said that she really enjoyed how there wasn't a huge cutting, right, going on during this challenge. What we did was that we ate balanced meals. Everybody had a goal to eat enough protein and fiber, and we focused on doing 3 workouts a week. It was pretty simple. And it was building, right? The goal was to eat healthy, eat enough, and not necessarily obsess so much about the scale. In fact, I didn't even ask my participants if they lost weight because that wasn't the goal. I know so many people are so over dieted and they may need something like this exactly. So she told me that she felt like it was so calm. She felt really relaxed. She didn't feel like she has to track a million things, that she has to be really, really on point with everything. And this is exactly what this build up phase should be like. You're doing your workouts, yes, because you are eating at maintenance or maybe even a bit higher than that. And you have to do the strength workouts because the goal here is to put on muscle and also improve your hormonal health, right? So this is building you up. This is giving you the energy back again. And this is a really good time. The really good time to do it is if you're already exhausted from trying too much, doing too much, tracking every bite for the last 10 years, right? So maybe let's just take you off from that madness, right, that you've been trying to do for 10 years. Sometimes, well, not everybody, of course, but a lot of times that's how it is, and help you to get stronger and take a lot of stress off of you, right? So this is a really good time. And your main focus is, of course, going to be eating high protein. That's always eating enough calories, but where exactly your carbs and fats land is not as important, as it is in a cut. In a cut, we have to get way more dialed in, and this is what we're going to talk about next. But in this build-up phase, it's not like you're going to eat like anything and everything and don't care it out at all. No, not like that at all. But you're going to keep your protein high, your calories in a decent place, and then you're going to do strength workouts. 3 a week is fine, sometimes 4. For some people, it's 2. Most of my clients are doing 3. And then we walk, right? And this is really nice time to build your body up. And a lot of women actually haven't even done consistent, solid strength training before the way I program it. They have always done something like a little bit of HIIT twice a week, and upper body twice a week, and lower body twice a week, and then a cardio day. This is a mess, right? Especially knowing that those upper and lower body workouts are circuits usually. So this is not going to get you very, very far. So now when they switch to 3 full body workouts a week, eat high protein, eat sufficient calories, they feel like, oh, the pressure is off me, right? I don't have to do crazy stuff right now. I can calm down. And this is how this person described this to me too. She said, it was so calm. I felt relaxed. I feel like I had enough things to do that was enough for me to feel better, but it wasn't overwhelming. And this is exactly how I want you to feel in this build-up phase, okay? Now, next phase is then the fat loss phase. And now we are assuming that you have built up enough strength, physical strength, also mental strength a lot of times, and muscle and hormonal health, that you're now ready to go into a fat loss phase, right? Most people want that. Some people actually are totally happy at maintenance once they find this calm and kind of they feel settled and happy. Perfect. Nobody says that you have to cut. But those who want to go into a cut, now is a good time. And this is where you have to know that you really prepared well for it, because if you started too soon, you may not get the results that you wanted. But fat loss, so when would you time it in your life? You have to pick a time when you know that you can commit, right? Because if you are doing macros, if you're choosing macronutrition as the way to reduce your body fat percentage, weight, and all that, then I'm asking you as a coach to be very accurate with your tracking, to plan your days ahead, and not miss days. Not like, out of 7 days, 4 days, my scale was broken, my food scale was broken, and 3 days I forgot to track, and then I forgot to track the dinner, and then I missed my breakfast. This is not committing, right? So if you want to go into fat loss phase and you want to do it with macronutrition, you have to be accurate. And that means that while you're doing it, you shouldn't be having a ton of stress going on in your life, right? So if you're already super overwhelmed with a million things, and as a result, your nervous system is on high alert all the time, and you're putting way too many things on your plate, figuratively speaking, right? And you just cannot handle it, then it may not be the best time to do fat loss. But if you're feeling like, okay, great, let's go. I have the time and I have the level of commitment that is required. I'm ready to plan my days ahead. I know I'm going to hit my numbers like 90% of the time. Let's go. Let's do this, right? I'm following the instructions. I'm going to do it. Then you're ready for fat loss and you're going to do really well. And the thing with macros is that they work super well if you put in the work. They really do, but you have to have that level of commitment. You can't kind of half-ass this thing, especially when it comes to the fat loss phase where we have to be accurate with tracking. And when I mentioned that in the build-up phase, There's definitely a little bit more flexibility when it comes to carbs and fats. So I'm asking you to keep your protein high and calories in the right place. But with fat loss, we have to be very detailed with the other macros too, right? The carbs and fat. It's not only about protein. And there are a lot more little things that we have to be looking at, right? So that we do the fat loss correctly. Because like I said, if you're just kind of trying to wing it, if you didn't plan your day ahead, you don't even know what's in your fridge, or you're eating out 7 days a week, or even like 3 days a week, you're probably not going to get great results. So you have to be on top of your game if you want to do fat loss. And if you want to go into calorie deficit and track your macros, don't commit if you're not ready for it, because it will take work and it's a little bit stressful, right? You have to track everything, and that's how it goes. And I hope that this is clear when you commit to it. And this is not to tell you that don't do it or it's just too hard. No, it's not. You can do it. I've done it. Millions of people have done it, right? It's absolutely doable, but really depends on the level of your commitment, right? Okay, so definitely in the fat loss, you have to be more strict. You have to be more committed. It's not that you don't have to be committed when you're building up, you do, but everything's kind of like tightened up even more when you are in this fat loss phase. And that's why you're going to get really good results if you do it right. Okay, and then let's talk about maintenance too, because now you've done, you've built up, you have lost weight. So what happens next? Like I said, most of the time you want to live your life in maintenance. And in maintenance, things can be more relaxed. So it's not that you jump from fat loss to doing whatever the heck you want, eating intuitively and forgetting about everything that you just learned. This is not how it works. But in maintenance, you're going to remember the foundation that you learned, right? And the foundation is always going to be keep doing your strength workouts, walk plenty, eat high protein, and then you can be like, you don't have to track. Like I personally, I don't track. And when I say the things that I talk about, when I'm talking about maintenance right now, is exactly what my life is like. These are things that I do. So always protein is first. I currently don't track my food. I don't put it on the scale, but I know that as long as I hit my protein, then my body will tell me when it has had enough food, and I know when to put my fork down, right? I know that. I also know that I can have some sweets and treats if I want to, but I have to be mindful of it, knowing that I do have a sweet tooth, that I don't go crazy with it. So there's still it's not like I said, it's not like you're going to just go crazy and do whatever the heck you want, because that way I would totally overeat chocolate like a lot of times, right? But I just have to be mindful. I have to eat high protein. I have to eat like to the point of satisfaction, but not being super stuffed. And then making good choices, eating whole most of the time. So these are all the things that you should have learned when you work through your first 2 phases, right? So the life in maintenance is a lot more relaxed though than it is in the deficit. And I will say that if you have spent a good amount of time practicing, going to the gym regularly, doing the stuff you need to do, prioritizing protein, then in maintenance, you can have a lot more moments when you are not perfect with it, right? So I know a lot of people get extremely stressed out when they're like, oh my God, I cannot work out 5 days. Well, let me tell you that if you have built up a decent amount of muscle mass, then you can take those 5 days off. Now, this is not for somebody who's having a super hard time staying consistent with workouts. No, this is not for you. This is for those people who have done this for years, right? And they now, when they take 5 days off because they're traveling, nothing bad will happen. Even when they eat out, more often than at home, which likely is the case when they're traveling, nothing bad will happen, right? It's not that you're going to stay like your leanest, super shredded. It's not that either, but it's more like you're just living your life and you're letting your body also fluctuate a little bit, or like not massively, but it's just like it's normal, right? So you're not super attached to like a number on the scale. You're not super attached to your body fat percentage. You understand that when you travel for 2 weeks, then maybe you come back and you weigh a little bit more, and then you can get back to your normal life, eating your normal things, and the weight will probably come down. So you don't freak out about things like that, right? So also, you're going to be a little bit more relaxed than you were in a deficit, definitely, because when you're in a deficit, the time is limited on how long you can do it, right? I know not everybody does it this way, but the way I coach and teach is that we're not going to be in a deficit for more than 3 months. So you have to be kind of strict and on point with things. So when you are now at maintenance, you don't have to be as rigid with stuff anymore. You just don't. And especially when you have put on a good amount of muscle, it's actually kind of funny even to think how much less work it takes to maintain it compared to how much work it took to build it. It really is true. And for those who are so terrified of taking a few days off, they really think that muscle is going to fall off. If you have a strong foundation, you've done this for years, this is not the case. I'm going to tell you, maintaining your muscle mass is actually easier. It takes less work. It takes a lot less work in building it. Now, this is definitely not me encouraging you to not work out anymore once you get to maintenance. No, not at all. So again, using myself as an example, I hope you don't mind talking about it so much, but I just think that I'm a pretty good example of how to live this lifestyle. So I would say most weeks I am working out 3-4 times a week. And I've done this for years. Like when I started real strength training in March 2020, before that I had done like HIIT stuff, and I don't really consider that like real self-strength training. But let's say like 3 years and some months ago, I started doing this. And now it's almost like you have earned the right to not do it all the time if you're traveling, not stressing about it all the time when you're traveling. So most of the time when I'm traveling, depends on where I'm going, but a lot of the times I don't go to the gym. And it's not because I have this like mindset of, oh, thank God I don't have to go because I'm like so stressed from the workouts that I did at the gym that it feels like, thank God I don't have to. It's not because of that. It's that sometimes it's inconvenient. Sometimes I want to spend more time with my family. Sometimes the location doesn't work out. Stuff can happen. Sometimes I'm tired from traveling. For example, when I travel to Europe, and I'm traveling to Europe next month in October. In September. In October. In August. Oh my God, getting all the months messed up. In August, I'm traveling to Europe again, and I'm not going to stress about the fact that probably the first 4 days I'm not going to get to the gym. Why? Because I'm going to be jet lagged. I'm going to be tired. It's going to take me some time to get in the same rhythm and in the right rhythm. I'm going to be tired, right? Like my flight total is going to be 22 hours. So I'm not going to be worried about it. And that's how you are. You're like normal like that, right? So I don't want you to like obsess and worry and, oh my God, muscles going to fall off the body when I'm at maintenance, when I'm not training all the time, when I'm not eating all the time perfectly. Also, when it comes to eating, if you have lifted weights and built a strong metabolism, then you can get away with much more. You can get away with higher calories here and there. You don't have to eat the exact like calculated maintenance calories. You can go over sometimes, you can stay under sometimes. It's like in maintenance, you have this more normal fluctuation of life, right? And more normal fluctuation of nutrition. Now, what may come with it is that you may, and I think I mentioned it already, you may put on a few pounds. You may be a little bit in a higher place than where you were when you were cutting. And this is the case for me too. So my really normal weight is about 160. So I'm between 159 to 161 most days when I weigh. And I know that when I was cutting, at one point I got to the point of like 157. So I'm about 2-3 pounds more. But do I freak out about it? No, I don't, because it's not that noticeable. I don't let the scale dictate my life. I don't like lose my sleep over it. I'm not going to start like making adjustments or like, kicking my favorite foods out of my diet again just to get back to that 157, because it's not really worth it for me. If I want to lean down again, then I know my tools and I go back to them. But to me, like this 2-3 pound air quotes weight gain is not really a big deal at all. And I hope that you get to that point too, where you are not so attached to the scale And you can understand that there's so much value in being in maintenance and not worrying about the scale all the time. Even if it goes up a few pounds, it really isn't that big of a deal, as long as it doesn't go like in the opposite direction too far. And if it does, then again, you're going to open your toolbox again and see what you can do about it. Or maybe just like revisit what have you changed? Have you had too many days when you don't work out? Have you had too many of those extra snacks? Have you been having too many glasses of wine? And so on. You don't even necessarily have to go back to tracking, just like see what's been going on, what has changed in your eating and movement, and make small corrections. So if I notice something like that, then I'm going to go and see what have I been doing and how can I make small corrections. So it doesn't have to be like a total overhaul of everything again. So I hope that this was helpful for you. So basically the main things I want to kind of repeat here is that first, do a build-up phase. Most people are not ready to jump into fat loss immediately because there's some reparation they need to do first. And this is really good, calming, relaxing, kind of balancing period, right? You can't jump from diet to diet. And then after you've done that, then go into fat loss. So be ready for it. You have to go into this with the like positive energy and with commitment, right? I'm going to do this. And I know it's going to be difficult at times, but I'm ready for this because I want this, right? Always keep in mind what your goal was. And now be ready that you have to be accurate. You have to be on point. You have to work hard. And sometimes it's going to be uncomfortable, but you can do this. And then maintenance is going to be where you're going to be most of your life, right? And this is I would say, the most relaxed period where you have earned the right to do things a little bit more relaxed way. You don't have to worry about everything all the time. You don't have to count everything that you ate, as long as you keep in mind what you practiced in these first 2 phases. So this is all I have for you today. I really hope this was helpful for you. Please make sure that you join my Fit and Feel Facebook group if you're not there yet. The group is growing, which I'm, of course, really happy about. And I hope to see you there as well. So thank you so much and see you very soon. Bye-bye.